Travel to Holstein, a small Swiss village with a population of approximately only 2,500 people, and you will find an iconic pink building that houses more than 120 years of Swiss watchmaking history. Just a short drive away, you will find Oris, a stream that spans more than 9 kilometers in length and is the namesake of the brand that we are taking a look at today, Oris. Founded in 1904, Oris, prior to the quartz crisis that decimated the entire Swiss watch industry, was once one of the top 10 largest watch manufacturers in the entire world, employing nearly 900 people and producing more than 1.2 million watches per year. A lot of this success was largely due to the 1938 release of what was the precursor to the watch that we are looking at today, the Big Crown pointer date. But make no mistake, flip this beauty over and take one look at that in-house caliber 403 and there will be no room for doubt. This watch is a far cry from the original. Designed as a true purpose-built pilot's watch, Oris produced the Big Crown with the aviators that would wear them in mind. At the time, many aircraft cockpits were either fully open or, at the very least, poorly enclosed, exposing the pilots to extreme cold at high altitudes. This required them to wear insulated gloves, so Oris met this challenge by designing their new watch with an oversized crown, making for easier operation by the gloved pilots. Oris wanted to add a date complication to their new pilot watch and needed to address the need for a clean and clutter-free dial that would make it easier for pilots to read during flight, especially flight with rough turbulence. So Oris chose to go with one of two designs patented in 1915 by Swiss watchmaker A. Hammerly, the pointer date. Hammerly's second design, the date window, while already in use by Mimo since 1930, would not become a staple in watchmaking until 1945 when Rolex would introduce it in the Datejust. Come 1970 and Oris, like most of the Swiss watch industry due to the quartz crisis, was facing bankruptcy and was sold to the watch conglomerate that would eventually become the Swatch Group. And over the next 12 years, Oris, now no longer an independent brand, was forced to produce quartz watches to compete with the Japanese. By 1982, Oris had downsized to less than a few dozen employees when management brokered a deal to purchase the company back and once again become the independent watch brand it had previously been. Fast forward to 2014, and Oris celebrated its 110th anniversary by launching the first in-house design movement in over 35 years, caliber 110, with the 111, 112, 113, 114, and 115 to follow each year after. And in October of 2020, Oris raised the bar once again when they released the caliber 400, the movement Oris would call the new standard. The new caliber housed twin barrel mainsprings boasting an impressive 5 days of power reserve, and per Oris maintains accuracy of -3 to +5 seconds per day, surpassing chronometer standards. 30 non-ferrous anti-magnetic components are used in the construction of the 400, making the movement highly anti-magnetic, with testing showing deviation of less than 10 seconds a day after being exposed to a magnetic field of over 2,200 Gauss. Oris also redesigned the ball bearing system on the rotor, replacing it with a low-friction slide bearing system that Oris claims increases efficiency and reduces wear and tear, helping to push the service intervals of the 400 out to 10 years. Fast forward to June of 2021 and Oris debuted the Big Crown pointer date caliber 403, a modified version of the 400, adding a pointer date function and a small second subdial. Just take a look at this. I recently watched a review on this movement where the person complained that he didn't believe it was very well dressed, and I have to say that I could not disagree more. I believe that this thing looks like a piece of art. And if you want to see one even more beautiful, just take a look at caliber 473, a hand-wound movement released by Oris in 2023 that is currently in the cotton candy version. Mention the pointer date to most watch enthusiasts, and the first thing that comes to mind is cathedral hands, coined edge bezels, and crescent moon pointers. But in 2021, when Oris released the latest version along with the introduction of the caliber 403, the cathedral hands that ironically gave the pointer date a vintage vibe had been swapped out to a pencil-style handset that more closely resembled the original from 1938. The coined edge bezel was swapped for high-polished smooth bezel, and the crescent moon-style pointer changed back to the original red arrow. This being the one change that I would like for Oris to reverse, and I know for a fact that I am not alone on this. Something about that crescent pointer that just seems untouchably iconic, even if it wasn't present on the original design in 1938. And by the way, I did hit up a girl on Etsy and got a new subscribe animation. What do you think? Shit looks cool, right? Anyway, I did pay $9 for it, so if you want to help me recoup some of my investment, hit that subscribe button. So currently, there are more versions of this watch than I can count, with sizes ranging from 34 millimeter, 38 millimeter, which is the one that I have here today, and the one I would personally choose for myself, the 40 millimeter. The dials are available in an array of colors, ranging from black, brown, and blue to terracotta, sunshine yellow, lilac, and cotton candy. And by the way, none of those color names I just mentioned are official. Look up the dial color on the cotton candy on the Oris website, and it will simply state that the dial is blue. Oris, trying best to cater to their customers, offers the Big Crown pointer date with two options, putting each at two vastly different price points. For those who appreciate what Oris has done with the new in-house movements and can afford it, the 403, in my opinion, is definitely the way to go. But it does come with a cost of $4,500. The fit and finish on these watches are absolutely exceptional. Pop this thing under a loop and it will hold its own with any watch in its price category. Although I am going to say this, and I will say this until I am blue in the face. Just about any watch on the market today that costs more than $1,000 is going to have a very good looking finish. You have to look under magnification on most of these watches to even see a difference, but where the real difference is in the fit. How does the end links meet with the case? Are there gaps between the end links and the lugs? Are the edges smooth and refined? Is the polishing even across the entire case? Does the bracelet feel solid? How is the clasp? Want a super quick way to check the quality? Just unscrew the crown. How do the threads feel? I will say hands down that Oris passes the test, and in fact, I don't know if it's the size of the crown or what, but screwing in the crown on an Oris watch is as smooth or smoother than any watch I have ever held. And this includes the crown on my less expensive Big Crown Pro Pilot. Speaking of winding, there is one thing that I found odd with the 400 series movement that takes place when setting the time. When you pull out or push in the crown, the minute hand jumps by a minute or two. Oris says this is completely normal due to the design using a clutch mechanism to disengage the gear train when pulling out the crown. And because of this, when setting the time on this watch, you have to advance the minute hand a few minutes ahead of your desired time and then reverse it back to the correct time before pushing the crown back in. I tried it and it 100% works. Now, if like many, $4,500 is not in your budget, Oris does offer a more affordable option with a Solita-based movement coming in at $2,400. And while I have not spent any real time with that version, what I can tell you is, as stated earlier, I own a Big Crown Pro Pilot that uses the Solita-based movement, and I absolutely love it. The finish is just as good, and I have tested the movement, and it is currently running at plus 7 seconds per day. I think the best way to look at the difference between these two versions is to just think of a Mustang. And yes, I know that I use cars a lot as a comparison, but in my mind, it just makes sense. Consider the caliber 403, the Mustang with the 5.0, and the Solita-based 754 movement, the twin-turbo V6 version. And yes, we all want the 5.0, I know, but either way, you're still driving a Mustang. So what are your thoughts? Is the Caliber 403 worth the extra money, or would you go with the Turbo V6? For me, the question is 100% obvious. If you got the extra dough, you go with the 5.0. But with that said, at $2,400, I think it is next to impossible to step into a better brand than Oris. And I mean that wholeheartedly. If someone was to come to me and say that I have a few $1,000 budget, I'm looking for a quality watch with a big name recognition, there are only two places that I would send them looking. One being Oris and two being Longines. And by the way, I have both of them in my personal collection, so I also put my money where my mouth is. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you want to show me some love, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that bell to be notified of future videos. I'm James. This is Blue Collar Luxe, and I will see you in the next one.